My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish, via evidence, and expose the existence of criminal surveillance, and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only, and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances, and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, Starbucks, located at 507 North Euclid Avenue, is a specific actor, but Starbucks, the corporation, is a well-established terrorist and sex offender and practices mentally ill behaviors as a corporation, which is applicable to a corporation insofar as corporations that are a threat to the public. And my evidence exposing Starbucks inside and out. As I'm subject to the pattern of conduct outside of Starbucks, I'm subject to the pattern of conduct inside of Starbucks. I'm subject to the pattern of conduct amongst Starbucks employees and those that are consuming what Starbucks is selling. I'm subject to the pattern of conduct with regard to the existence of that corporation, which is a threat to the public. So, sexual assault and battery, license plate 8VXH875. And stalking en route to the venue, which is speaking to Starbucks, that is a stalker, license 8YWM084, and making a purchase. Starbucks is profiting while they are gang stalking. And they are gang stalking in furtherance of murder. So this is absolutely a corporation that is a threat to the public. That's a domestic terrorist. And this is Starbucks that has engaged in years of criminal summoning while they are stalking. And not just criminal summoning with stalkers of the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state that are the demons, the non-humans, the creatures that are engaging in mentally ill behavior, which Starbucks is making money from. Starbucks hires these creatures and they wear green barista aprons and they're gang stalking, serving coffee. All right, license 18409J1, sexual assault and battery, P.O.C. All right, I want you to see that light activity while a vehicle, that's what's crossing path. And you can see my shadow here. This is not from the street lamp that's above. It's impossible light activity. It's relevant to what is stalking in the path with impossible light. Watch the stalkers cross path, creating light activity. This is impossible light activity. While the demons drive by, creating the shadows of their vehicles projecting, and that's supposed to be from the Bank of America across the street. It is not your headlights. Our headlights are not blinding each other. We're not going to be able to drive on the road if the light is in fact this powerful. This is the same pattern, however, with the fake sun, the laser light, where I show you that light activity, and it happens to be where the light commercial planes, where there are also no takeoffs from the Ontario International Airport. That's the nearest airport in Ontario, where Alan D. Wapner and the gang stalkers of UPS would fail in any court hearing regarding providing evidence that they are not targeting me, in concert with the entity that is targeting with light, which is mentally ill behavior, as you are looking at all of the aspects and the criminal elements that the mentally ill engage in. Bank of America, I am prosecuting you. You are criminally liable while you are profiting from federal group stalking and monitoring. And the people of the state are again stalking with light. This is the pattern that you're looking at. This is the third video that I would juxtapose, showing you the pattern of the mentally ill that are stalking with light. As I'm walking here the night before, the entity is stalking with light, a demon in there, and they're lined up in their vehicles on the street in the dark, stalking me with light. Stalking with light is that which is a sexual assault and battery with engineered light. It's not light that's naturally occurring. If they were minding their business and they weren't gang stalking and monitoring with the government that tells on them by stalking in their neighborhood by planes and helicopters, the entity is engaging in what is molesting me with light, where your headlights are not going to reach this distance. They're not going to create blinding light. They're not going to create multiple shadows. They're not going to engage in any means of what is the impact that this engineered light that the demon possessed are molesting with. It's a sex act when they're touching you with it. They're doing so at the heavily documented El Morado, which is at the facilitating venue North Euclid Avenue. This is relevant to playlist where I'm prosecuting this neighborhood. I'm prosecuting this city. I'm prosecuting the state. And facilitating venue H as in Henry and Euclid Avenue, because you will see in these playlists, this is why I combine it that way, it's analytical evidence with regard to seeing the fake sunrise and the sunset and the patterns of the terrorists who are gang stalking, including where they live. That pattern is even more vivid and clear when I collect the evidence together for you to see the pattern just on one street, at one intersection, amongst the gang stalkers, the sex offenders of the Ontario Police Department in this city, which are acting in conformity to the state's pattern of conduct with the military, that are stalking in UPS planes like they were in Upland, California, at the IHOP, where there's also no UPS planes taking off. They're not going to deliver any packages, and there are no headlights that are going to create light activity on this from across the street at all. That's a stalker. And this is how the corporations that are also gang stalking are being federally prosecuted, and you're being documented 24 hours a day. It shall not be limited to your business hours where your employees are gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity doing so at El Morado, and this is relevant to what they are doing. The people of the state that are gang stalking, as I documented yesterday evening, while the fake sun is what is creating that laser-like conduct. The fake sun that's over me on this street from sunrise until sunset. That is the impossible maintenance of an environment conducive to surveillance with the creatures that are living in relevant position, maintaining surveillance as a state system, where the government is in that neighborhood stalking with helicopters and airplanes in concert with the creatures that are maintaining criminal presence in a surveillance system where none of them are occupying private properties, nor are they engaging in any private speech, and they are unprotected. They are subject to federal raids. They're subject to being prosecuted under every aspect of the law, where terrorists will be neutralized in the threat that they pose, and they will be removed from experiencing any benefits and privileges that are attending being an American citizen. As documented and prosecuted terrorists. This is P.O.C. Understand, when I document this pattern of conduct, this is the prosecution of whatever city police department. And everybody already knows, and I've already prosecuted, moreover, that the Ontario police are criminals and they're obsessed stalkers. They're demons, moreover. The Ontario police is made up of the Nephilim, and that's why they're losing their job. Not losing their job, but they're done with law enforcement. They've lost that career. And every last one that is stalking and engaging in kidnapping and criminal summoning are going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 6:04 a.m. where Bank of America is. All right. And you get more business as I give you attention, negative attention. Your customers, your employees, your co-defendant is mentally ill. And the more that I document you, the more criminal activity you engage in conspicuously, which I shall also prosecute you for, Bank of America. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 6:05 a.m. All right, this is speaking to El Morado and Euclid Avenue stalking, as I've been documenting in these series of videos with light, with impossible light, with the gang stalking EMTs, the gang stalking firefighters, and the gang stalking police. License plate 9NEA406, who are crossing path on the roads and the highways, meaning they're stalking on the roads and the highways, while is stalking in commercial, engaging in U-turns, engaging in all manner of circus conduct over the intersection. This is not the legitimate operations of the airport, of any airline. It's also out of conformity with what the Ontario International Airport publishes regarding takeoffs from that airport. Do not engage in what are providing amusement rides on the commercial planes, as I'm documenting the entity stalking me in these airline companies, with these airline companies, engaging in U-turns over me, engaging in psychopathic pacing around me, stalking me flying North Avenue, doing the same thing while I'm in Upland, California. That's what I documented at A as in Apple and Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that's engaging in what is blatant stalking, and it's unintelligent when it is a part of a pattern of conduct to prosecute every means of criminal presence in the path, showing what is public corruption. You are being prosecuted. You are being prosecuted for the pattern of conduct where the government is stalking me where you live, work, and are present. P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and that is speaking to what is mental illness that is necessitating martial law for that corrupt and dangerous population. This is P.O.C. at what is El Morado. They have their own pattern. Excuse me, not their own pattern, but they have their own body of evidence speaking to what is a playlist where you could clearly see that. That's the level of evidence of targeting that I'm subject to, where the people of the state are located at El Morado Court and Euclid Avenue. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:08 a.m. This is showing how I am absolutely under surveillance. There is no intersection or street that I'm standing on where the people of the state are not stalking. And that's why the government is stalking at this intersection where no planes at all are published, are taking off, and being over the sky space, flying over and next to near reliable properties, Mission Furniture, G Street, Euclid Avenue, El Pescador, where the entity is gang stalking me. This is the entity that's being prosecuted. What the government is doing is indicating what the people of the state are doing. The people of the state are the vicarious arm of the government. It is not private property. And that's why I'm being molested with impossible light activity. The desperation and obsession of sex offenders who are demon possessed. Okay? And that's the entity that's engaged. No corner where I'm going to where the stalker is not following. This is, again, Southwest Airlines is all up and down Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. Southwest Airlines is associated with Terminal 4. Southwest Airlines is fully prepared to be put out of business. And this is speaking to the entity that sacrifices itself. The mentally ill are operating Southwest Airlines. It is the U.S. military. It is the Ontario Police Department. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they are witnessing their demise. And it is an unlawful threat, while suicidal, mentally ill psychopaths who are obsessed with you are stalking you in commercial planes, and that airline industry is being federally prosecuted for it. They are being federally prosecuted for it. There are no Southwest Airlines planes that are hovering over reliable properties, G Street and Euclid Avenue, and you are being prosecuted. Bank of America, reliable properties, the people of the state. All right, that's the P.O.C. That is speaking to what is the reality of what psychopaths are engaging in. They're not standing around talking and minding their business. They're not oblivious to your presence. And the entity that has engaged in this behavior that I've been documenting, this is the necessity of martial law. This is P.O.C. It is currently where Southwest Airlines is sacrificing itself, just like the rest of the airline companies, and incriminating everyone else in the pattern of conduct. Where there is nothing hidden, neither is the mental illness. P.O.C. All right, in the video and in the images at El Morado and Euclid Avenue, psychopathic pacing is underway by the entity, which is a direct indicator. It is the criminal activity of the people of the state. So this is that pattern of conduct. While the entity is stalking you by planes and helicopters, you are documenting the people of the state that are surrounding, and they are engaging in this at 6:13 a.m. And I'm taking pictures of that. The entity flying in plane after plane after plane. This is that mental illness that is expressed in that pattern of conduct. And it is also documented and observed, just like every other meeting that you would have, evaluation that you would conduct. The evaluation is underway while the entity is engaging in the psychopathic behavior. And they're doing so at El Morado and Euclid Avenue while I'm capturing the entity doing U-turns over Euclid Avenue, stalking in the path while they are monitoring me while I stop at El Morado and Euclid Avenue. This is the entity that is stalking as a neighborhood, and I'm documenting those same license plates that are gang stalking while they're stalking with light, and while they're stalking with light under the fake sun, and while the entity is engaging what is stalking me at this intersection through the commercial airline companies that are showing what is ongoing universal engagement in that pattern of conduct. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and this is what everyone is doing. What El Morado, the people of the state, Bank of America, Reliable Properties, Omnitrans, gang stalking on Euclid Avenue, while that public transportation line is engaged in criminal surveillance, demons monitoring. This is what an entity is doing while I'm showing you a fake sun that rises on Euclid Avenue from in Ontario, and also the Euclid Avenue that runs into Upland, California. The environment where the population is shown to be mentally ill, and that mental illness is expressed through their criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct. And that's what I'm documenting. The entity is engaged in psychopathic behavior. And then you'll see this demon out here walking his dog. He's a minion. This is a demon. This is a stalker. And the entity that's conspicuously stalking, this is how their system operates. They're being committed, they're being prosecuted, and they're going to be prosecuted with martial law. All right, this is a Latino male with a blue hat, blue shirt, and black basketball shorts on, while the entity is engaging in this absurd psychotic behavior. That's a threat. And the neighborhood is engaging in that, and I'm prosecuting for it. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, that's the entity that's engaging in that on behalf of the government. That government that maintains no right to engage in gang stalking and then behaving as though they have a right to be in the bathroom, to be on the sidewalk, to be on the roads and the highways, to be at the grocery store next to you. And they're stalking you. They're monitoring you. That's why. And that's how they are a threat. And this is how they're engaged in what is supposed to be a program of psychological torture, tormenting someone else. And it is the evidence where they are being evaluated and they are demonstrating, exhibiting severe mental instability, which is necessitating a mentally ill population being locked down, being separated, isolated, delineated by martial law. This is that P.O.C. It is currently 6:15 a.m. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down. The Ontario Board, the so-called president of the Airport Authority, Alan D. WAPNER, the Ontario City Council, the Ontario Executive Team, Otif El-Kadi, the so-called CEO. This is the entity that's being prosecuted simultaneously, being exposed, and I'm going to prosecute you for terrorizing. The FAA is being exposed, and you're being prosecuted. Every single last plane that is taking off is not doing so ignorant of what the FAA's knowledge is. It is their job, and the FAA is engaging in terrorism while the entity is stalking me in Ontario, California with a bunch of imps in Ontario on one street. That's the P.O.C. That's domestic terrorism as well. That is engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're not so without the government. As I've shown, every level of government is engaged in the pattern of conduct. They are not capable to engage in this pattern of conduct without the knowledge of those that are on maintaining component parts and those that are superior. For example, the FAA and the ongoing conduct of the Ontario International Airport, of these airline companies, of these commercial planes as they take off and land and do U-turns throughout the city and where they are in the sky space while I'm documenting it on the ground. Okay, this is speaking to what is a inherently engagement in that pattern of conduct, and I don't have to be at the FAA and capture the fake sun over the building where the demons are working with the FAA and identified working with the FAA are also proven to be gang stalking. I'm capturing it and I'm prosecuting them while I am maintaining this investigation of what the entity is doing through a gang stalking airport and gang stalking airlines and a gang stalking neighborhood city. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is El Morado and Euclid Avenue. Southwest Airlines, UPS, the entity maintaining commercial airline flights, and doing so while they are stalking at on Euclid Avenue. And they're doing so while the people of the state are stalking. And that is the entity that is triggering that while they are mentally ill. Remember what I'm documenting last night. The moment that I start capturing video of the stalker in a helicopter, this is triggering what is the outside, when their mental illness is not closeted, and you are able to see it by flying in circles over and over and over again for about 10 to 15 minutes by helicopter, while the entity is triggered as I expose them. I'm exposing you when you're stalking me by impossible light activity. I'm exposing you and I'm humiliating you, and you are very much triggered by my prosecuting you, Bank of America, who was a part of the entity. And then the entity is having, again, another psychotic break, psychopathic pacing by commercial planes. It is not stopping the prosecution. It is accelerating the mental illness that is being diagnosed and that shall be treated amongst a people. Amongst the people who are not even humans, these are creatures. This is the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. All right, SHEEHY is a sex offender. They're engaged in sexual assault and battery, and the fake son that they are stalking me under is a proof of it. And the sex offender includes license 97 Barry Mary 510, engaging in surveillance, parked in a random empty parking lot at 7:08 a.m. while the entity has the fake son is right here piercing over the top of the building. And this is a sex offender that's engaging in sexual violence and furtherance of murder. That's why they're stalking. And they're stalking with the actor that's engaging in a sex offense. While that corporate actor knows who I am, this is the proof of knowledge, and the entity knows who I am, proof of knowledge in that environment where they are surrounding and that sex offense is underway by murderers, serial killers, stalkers, the mentally ill, the Nephilim that are gang stalking on the roads and the highways. P.O.C. All right, this is the entity that's gang stalking. This is the infamous 9th Street and Euclid, where Metrolink is stalking with license 97 Barry Mary 510. The people of the state, like this third party in a little ashy Honda, is engaging in criminal activity as the entity. I'm prosecuting the companies for gang stalking with this brokey. I'm gang stalking the government for gang stalking with this brokey. That's engaging in sexual violence as an entity through this brokey. P.O.C. All right? That's the entity that's engaging in that. Look. All right? That's the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. Here's the fake. All right? Where the local convicts are gang stalking me. P.O.C. This is the entity engaging in ongoing obsessive stalking. This is the mentally ill who are in Upland, California, stalking. In Upland, California, stalking. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in the psychopathic behavior. I'm staring at a book, so I'm not stalking you. They are getting committed. The demon-possessed, the vagina monitors that are engaging in surveillance at a library where they're not reading. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct with the mentally ill that are stalking and plans, and these are the mentally ill maintained right in front of your face, which is violence that they do as an entity. And they're going to be prosecuted for what is referred to as levying war under the Constitution. They're doing so with corporations that share in the psychopathic behavior, the corporate entity. They do so as a population that does so in venues that are using the name of what is the purpose of that crime scene: the Upland City Hall, the Upland Public Library, the grocery store, literally the bathroom. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaged in that. And this demon, as I took a picture of, has been sitting here stalking me in my face, which is a federal act, criminal activity, and it's ongoing terrorism. And the entity that's engaging in terrorism as a population is the one that's conspiring your murder. They're doing so of Upland in conformity to the pattern of conduct, because you know, as I walked out of this venue yesterday, where this psychopath is stalking under a fake sun. This is the entity that's exposing its mental illness, and it's on the outside of their person. It's not closeted on the inside, persuasively disguised while they hold a book up to their face, while they're engaged in things such as vagina monitoring inside of the building where the fake upon exit. This is the P.O.C. The entity that's engaging in stalking by planes, like I'm showing you, is the entity that's stalking by helicopter, the entity that's engaged in pacing all around. This isn't traffic, this is surveillance. And the terrorists are being removed from the privilege to drive on the roads and the highways, where they are utilizing and exercising weapons and committing murder while they're engaged in criminal activity. That is not included in the privilege to be on the roads and the highways, while the entity is engaging in surveillance. This is P.O.C. That's what's so about sitting in front of somebody and stalking them in their face, because that's what the people of the state do. That's the purpose of this venue, and that's why everybody that works here is going to prison. P.O.C. It is under the fake sun, where a bunch of losers are sitting around in police vehicles monitoring my physical movement, sounding sirens. because they're scared to death about what's already been concluded, what's already been decreed. And you're still engaging in that. It's as clearly as the entity is stalking me by aircrafts. This is the P.O.C. It is current, and I'm referring to the demons, the stalkers, the sex offenders, the mentally ill that are the Upland Police Department. They're no police department. And that's how I'm able to embarrass them like this. They are being removed from those positions. The Nephilim shall not under any circumstance disguise themselves as a police department in Upland, California. They are stalking like the demons in Ontario. P.O.C. This is demonic. The entity amplifies the sound of a plane inside of the library while a whole bunch of stalkers are pacing an engineer light. That's what you're looking at right now. Demonic activity, demon possession, and it's criminal conduct. And this is the demon that calls himself now acting out because he's already been humiliated. So the way that this takes form with regard to aerial surveillance, the helicopter starts flying in circles. Okay? This is the P.O.C. They're going to be subject to involuntary commitments. This is the entity engaged in what is vagina monitoring, showing their identity as those sex offenders who are, these are the non-humans with no purpose. And that's the military showing you that the people of the state are their co-defendants. Conspicuous surveillance, levying war, and not secretly doing so. And the U.S. military, gang stalking police departments, gang stalking fire departments. Daniel Muncie, you're being prosecuted. The entities engaged in this with what are puppets. That doesn't remove what is liability under the law. This is just the fact that they are here to die. Their service is as third-party agents engaged in criminal monitoring. These are non-humans. These are creatures, which is a threat to national security. They will sacrifice their lives. They will engage in threatening and take the lives of others, and they will do so while... That's the entity that stalking conduct, and they are already fully prosecuted. Psychopathic prosecution of Cable Airport. It's a prosecution that is underway while you saw the City of Ontario UPS engage in bizarre behavior, stalking and planes flying in circles. They started doing that as I embarrassed them. Demons are embarrassed when you discern them and when you federally prosecute them. Demons are embarrassed. I understand that these demons are monitoring vagina. These are stalkers. This is the entity that's going to be involuntarily committed. Stalkers that are pacing. That's what he's doing. Right? That's the P.O.C. Understand, this is the banner. Joy and Alan and Carissa and the Marty and Adam Tuckerman, the entity that is gang stalking, the employees here, they're going to prison. It does not get any more clear than having the fakes on all day long and literally the government flying over the venue, which they also do by helicopter. When vagina monitors like this are sitting inside, stalking in the path, looking, staring into a computer screen, which is criminal presence in the path no matter what you're doing, whether you're sitting in the male restroom, masturbating while you're monitoring the vagina of a woman that you're gang stalking of murder with the homosexuals who are psychopathic, stalking in planes and helicopters. This is the P.O.C. This is at 9:42 a.m. This is the entity that has sacrificed. Bill Velto has sacrificed his career. He's not going to be any office holder. All right. He's being federally prosecuted. This entity committed kidnapping. This is no ordinary criminal here. Upland committed kidnapping. Criminal defamation is how they commit kidnapping. Oh, I'm a sex offender. While you're monitoring my vagina, the entity stalking by planes right now is evidence of them monitoring my vagina. They committed kidnapping. Upland City Hall and Bill Velto went out of his way to engage in pacing like this demon is when the Upland police were kidnapping me. And I did not forget that. Okay? He is engaged in criminal monitoring regardless of the day of the week, regardless of what time of day. This is showing that it is a crime scene and the Upland City Hall is engaged in criminal monitoring. But you also know that because the entity is gang stalking me by helicopter here, gang stalking with the stalkers of the Upland Police Department, gang stalking with the demons who are the people of the state who are psychopaths pacing in and out of this office where criminal activity is underway. That in and of itself is a prosecution for public corruption. This is no ordinary public corruption. This is P.O.C. And you're witnessing the psychotic breaks while one, that is myself, exposes not only what is the ability to evaluate mental illness that's shared as a population of those who are not humans. This is the Nephilim who are being federally prosecuted for criminal activity. And it is that which is relevant to surveillance. And they shall, who are in the medical field and law enforcement in the legal profession, defame no one using corrupt means such as the Baker Act, which is what this entity engaged in while they were stalking the entire time. And this is my ability to go to another city, such as Upland, and prosecute the demons in the city of Ontario. Going to another city, Los Angeles, and prosecute the demons in Ontario. For me to be in California and prosecute gang stalking leaders like Jason Isaac Fields. You don't have a defense. This is the P.O.C. The fake sun is still here in the evening when you're looking at the mentally ill who don't have anything else to do. This is the Nephilim. These are the non-creatures whose act of trying to act like they're humans, it's up. And so in front of me, they start behaving like the clowns that they are because they're humiliated. And that is also my purpose, to humiliate Satan. This is the P.O.C. You're going to put them up in mental institutions. And this is that evaluation, that psychiatric evaluation while they engage in their mentally ill pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. They're pacing throughout the parking lot. They're pacing as employees of the Upland City Hall, by the way. They're pacing as employees of the San Bernardino County Fire Department. They're pacing as employees of the Upland Police Department. They're pacing as the vagina monitors of American Medical Response. Don't forget when they want to show you all day long, when they're engaging in criminal summoning, all day is what they do, what they were doing yesterday. Sounding sirens every hour. Nobody forgot about that. Okay? You that are going around wearing diapers and eating feces are going to be put in mental institutions while you think that it is a good idea at this point, at this level of evidence, to engage in criminal activity in the face of an American citizen, in the face of the world. You are literally a terrorist and a mentally ill one. While utilize criminal summoning, exposing exactly who you are highly imprudent and woefully unprepared to be prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:45 a.m. All right, this is psychopathic pacing. The entity is stalking plane after plane after plane. This is the entity that's going to the Upland City Hall, which is closed. The entity that's engaging in what is crossing path to the opposite side of the street. Pay attention to how the fake sun doesn't move over him. This is an entity that's looking appalled while they're being documented as vagina monitors based on what they actually do. The entity that's stalking at the same time together in the sky space, and you're supposed to disregard that and not document them. They are being committed. This is conspicuous surveillance, which is violence committed by the people of the state. Stalking. Demons who are pacing. They are being prosecuted. They're being martial law. This is the violence that they commit as an entity, and this is the entity's violence that they then use to engage in what is targeting you through the gang stalking criminal justice system, which is used to target, not do justice. And they're being federally prosecuted for that. This is the P.O.C. 9:49 a.m. I want to be clear. Federal law is going to fiercely and seriously, intensely address what is the violence that the psychopaths, who are the people of the state, the demons, engage in together, conspicuously gang stalking you in your face. Engage in psychological torture, which is showing their mental illness upon engaging in criminal activity. They literally do it on the roads and the highways. And that's the entity that's doing so. I'm capturing the entity in video, plane after plane after plane. The entity's psychotic disorder, it comes out as I document. So as I then capture the video, I capture images, I start uploading it, another plane. And as though they want to stop me from uploading it, and then they do another plane. And then as I start uploading that, another plane. And this is the entity that's showing its psychotic break. Okay? This is the P.O.C. This is the standard of conduct. This is what I'm stating. Everybody that engaged in what is harassment, everyone that engaged in criminal defamation, everyone that engaged in acts of violence while they are stalking and who are inferior and are hostile because they know that I see the demons that they are and am able to prove in the physical the criminals that they are, and they do so on behalf of the government that testifies against them and also admits to their mental instability. The ones that are sounding the sirens, the ones that are occupying the buildings. You're going to be committed. You are going to be federally prosecuted. You're going to be treated as the creatures that you are. Unfit, incompetent, unstable, a threat to national security. That's the P.O.C. That's the entity that is stalking. And you're not free to engage in that. While the entity engages in violence, they do so as though they are free under the Constitution to do that. You're going to prosecute the enemies that are representing the U.S. military, gang stalking. Understand the U.S. Marines and the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force. These are enemies of this country while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct, terrorizing, gang stalking. And the local imps, okay, that can't read and who literally to monitor and then die. That's it. They serve Satan and their services done, and the military sacrifices them. That's how worthless they are. That's why their job is to monitor you and stalk you. Satan starts tap dancing the moment that I call him out. It's pathetic. And they're doing the same thing in the sky space. You need to understand that that's the same entity that intentionally crashes planes, intentionally crashes trains, intentionally crashes vehicles, intentionally sets fire to buildings, calling itself an accident, portraying it as one way, especially in the United States when they are selling you a product. This is surveillance, and it is the absurdity that is that is under what is the fake sun, the absence of any normalcy. And there is certainly nothing that is supported or authorized under the U.S. Constitution. That's the U.S. military. enemies of this country. And this entire business is being defunded. And I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute you. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:51 a.m. The entity's having a psychotic break while I am publishing the evidence, and it's going on the podcast. And what the rest of the world and what the federal government is noting is this ongoing failed evaluation regarding your mental instability while you target in a mentally ill pattern of conduct, and also your criminality that you practice with impunity, exposing yourself as what you have been, closeted enemies of this country. It is not being missed. As you go by companies such as Enterprise, as you go by companies such as Cintas, as you disguise yourself as corporations who are engaged in terrorism and making money, the absurdity of that is going to be addressed in your prosecution. And that same energetic level of disregarding the rights of others is going to be applied to you. P.O.C. Alrighty, what you will witness is the entity that is pacing the same mentally ill behavior, psychopathic pacing, while the demon that's engaging in what is gang stalking with the military is joined by other demons to aid in that pacing conduct. These are demons that are very highly apprehensive. They are also fearful when they are discerned, when they are exposed. And I've been maintaining this investigation, which is exposing the Nephilim and exposing criminal activity for years. They are never any less fearful. They're never less scared of it. The entity engages in psychopathic behavior, which I've shown you. The entity exhibiting severe mental instability as they operate helicopters and they start flying in circles. That's the entity that is fearful. Regarding, understand that it is spiritual power to discern that which is physically invisible. Okay, but there's nothing invisible about the criminal activity. They're going to prison, period. This is, you're not just going to be locked up, you're going to a mental institution. The mentally ill have been criminally defaming those who they are targeting. And they are targeting those who are advanced. They are targeting those who are gifted. They are targeting those who they envy. They are targeting those who are perfectly sound. Okay? And they are targeting those who they are abusing, doing violence against, and then engaging what is calling that mental illness when they are very much aware of their own mental illness in doing so. And they will be subject to what is martial law, while states are engaging in what the state of California is demonstrating amongst a mentally ill population who begins gathering at the front door of the Upland Public Library. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in psychopathic pacing by the aircrafts, and then they begin gathering at the front door. This is an entity that's monitoring the entire time while they have a few come around in close proximity, and the more that I document, the closer that the stalkers get. It's not about the opening hour of the Upland Public Library. It's the same conduct regardless of what time it is. I've shown you the stalkers that are engaging in what is obsessing over me, the malnutrition, lesbian. Last night I moved, so does the lesbian. The entity's engaging in that while the entity is literally stalking, flying over where there are no flights at all, anywhere near the Ontario Civic Center from the airport, that is. You've got Southwest Airlines stalking in Upland, California, stalking at El Morado and Euclid Avenue, and at the same time coming from Terminal 4 is what the Ontario International Airport and what the Southwest Airline planes, that's where they're parked. But I'm showing you Southwest Airlines in all manner of different locations, stalking the mentally ill that tell on themselves. And that's because demons are apprehensive, timid spirits. And they are fearful of that which is aware of them. And I am not only aware, I am prosecuting the demon possessed. And while they are engaged in criminal activity and they engage in those demonic, that is, i.e. behavioral health issues, which I document as a matter of record, they are being committed. All right, it's the P.O.C. The entities engage in this while they are gathering at the Upland Public Library, where literally the military is stalking. You are looking clearly at what is no mystery, the criminal activity of that entity. And I'm going to go get the license plate of a serial stalker in particular. The entities engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are monitoring at a distance, and all the demons come together as I am embarrassing one that is engaging in that pattern of conduct. While I'm embarrassing one, I'm embarrassing all of them. And this is not about me. I could care less about embarrassing, but I do happen to know that the demon possessed are humiliated by being discriminated because they maintain a whole fake illusion about themselves in their own sick minds. They convince themselves that there's something that they know that they're not, but they cover themselves with enough lies in order to never face that reality. And I am the one that is desecrating that illusion for them. This is also why the demon possessed are very hostile. The demon possessed that are hostile police departments are being disbanded. How about that? That's how we're bringing the spiritual into the physical. The entities engaging what is stalking under the fake sun, and you'll see that fake sun move as I move, and you'll see a stalker meeting me in the parking lot. That stalker is license 7 Bob Queen Mary 067. That is the identification of those that are stalking on the roads and the highways that commit murder. They don't have car accidents, and monitoring spirits don't have car accidents. Monitoring spirits are aware of who you are, where you're at, what foot, whether you have your foot on the gas pedal or on the gas. They are aware of what it is that you are thinking as you do it while they're monitoring you. Okay, this is speaking to what is necessary with regard to neutralizing a threat, and that's the public service that I am providing while the entity is gang stalking me in the city of Upland. Okay, engaging what is holding on to a conversation, staring at a book, pushing a stroller, all the ways in which the Nephilim try to appear, which you cannot, as a demon-possessed gang stalker, appear as anything other than a gang stalker. And this is what the demons are hard pressed to reconcile. And you don't have a choice. You're not gang stalking me because you were going to ever be able to outthink or outmaneuver a prosecution that's also simultaneously discerning you as demons to the rest of the world. You are targeting me because it's your time to be exposed, and it is the end of this satanic system. That's why this is happening. The entities engaged in that, and the demon possessor are also going to compensate me. The demon possessor are operating multi-million-dollar companies that are engaging what is terrorism under the law. Okay, this is the P.O.C. and the entities engaged in that while the military demons are exposing them. You can stare at the book all you want. Okay, medical professionals are going to rip that book away that you cannot read. You certainly can't comprehend its contents. All right, while you're acting under the fake sun with your co-defendant that's flying over the building, while that fake sun is still there at the end of the day. All right, and you can't remember 2 words that you read in that so-called book that you were so focused on. This is the entity that's engaged in that. This is the P.O.C, and you will see that reflected in the images as I walk away from that library entrance. So does the fake sun, and all those demons are pacing as they together, one dead person after another, walk toward which is pacing. They're pacing. And one of these demons that are engaged in psychopathic pacing, African-American male, very much engaged in monitoring the evidence, aware of being documented, always trying to conceal his face. I don't need it. His license, I don't need it, but I'm also going to get his license plate. License 8 Apple Nancy Zebra 096. He is gang stalking. I did capture his image, and he is serially engaging in the pattern of conduct, and he is doing so with the military. That is an unlawful threat to my life. This is violence that a population is engaging in. And while the entity systematically practices violence, like the employees of the Upland Public Library, you are going to federal prison. Period. That is non-negotiable, and there will be no negotiation with terrorists. There will be no negotiation. This is the policy. And this is the policy that is supporting evidence which is proving all of the allegations. And I'm also going to let you know what your penalty is. You're going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:02 a.m. Into a public library under the fake sun, and this is the entity that is stalking. You are literally stalking while you are getting in my path. You'll see the fake sun as I'm capturing the images and on video, taking the path that I take, which is what the gang stalkers do. The gang stalkers are the demon possessed who are engaging in what is a highly passive aggressive, microaggressive, when you're looking at it on the surface, but when analyzing the behavior in its totality and its substance, it's not passive aggressive at all. The military is sharing in that pattern of conduct of tracking your steps and stalking you by helicopter. There's nothing passive aggressive about you walking in alignment to me under the fake sun as I walk toward the entrance while you also are monitoring. And you know that you're being documented. This is the entity that's going to be committed. That's the same serial stalker that I'm documenting in the evening, in the morning, under this same fake sun that remains here. And this ongoing impunity, stalking conspicuously as businesses, as government actors, while you are already found guilty. This is, again, adding enhancement to what is an already complete prosecution. Okay, this old white male he is identified under federal law, understand, as serial stalker. That is legally relevant. He is going to prison. And there is a playlist that is assigned to him exposing, and this is for everybody else's education, where you anywhere in this country want to mimic or think that you will engage in this in any way, you are learning what the consequences shall be. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:05 a.m. That's a serial stalker that's acting with impunity. Your non-verbalized threats are being fully interpreted and documented. And also for the medical professionals to act upon regarding the national security threat that you represent. That's the P.O.C. The fake sun is moving over the building that it remains over until I leave, and it's over on this side. Where everybody in this building is engaging in violence, I'm going to prosecute them for it, and it includes prison for the employees. P.O.C. All right, listen to the stalkers of the Upland Public Library. This is mental illness while malice is exposed. Public corruption. P.O.C. It's 10:10 a.m. Excuse me? Stalking out the elevator. Good morning, Miss Brianna. How are you? Can I check out a laptop, please? So the desktop computers, are those the ones that aren't working still or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, the internet was down yesterday, is what I was told. But I was just wondering if the desktop computers were still inaccessible, you know, if I wanted to use one of those. But that's fine. They still have the sign up. Yeah, I used it through my phone, but you guys still have the sign up at the desktop computers.
Yeah, because the internet's not working there.
The Ethernet?
The internet.
Oh.
I mean, my computers work. So I don't know if it's the same or different.
Your phone is ringing. That's audible activity, by the way. They are monitoring in every regard. These are demons. Let me give you my library card. Thank you. No wipes, huh? Probably just paper towels, or maybe not even that. No wipes? You know? Hi, good morning. Sorry, I should have said good morning first. Good morning. Thank you, Ms. Brianna. Have a good day. Oh, God. Thank you. You always are able to come up with. Thank you. Have a good day.
I don't know. Someone just called right now, but I was trying to get a computer.
Okay.
So I don't...
The same stalkers that's outside, stalking with the military, come right on the inside of the library. This is a threat. You're analyzing everything about the P.O.C. and the ways in which they engage in it. And that's the entity that's engaged in communicating that threat overtly. You're going to be prosecuted for that. The entity that's engaging in what, adjusting your chair while I walk by, they do the same thing concerning monitoring my vagina, every move in the bathroom. Sex offenders that are stalking, and they're doing so under the fake sun that's now over the opposite side of the library at what is the where Upland Unified School District is at, and the entity understand regarding the ordinary target individual. So you have to appreciate what I'm actually documenting. This is the entity that intends to psychologically torture. This is psychological warfare. So you're going to surround me. You're going to stalk me in my face. You're going to do that moreover while I'm documenting it. You're going to do that using planes and helicopters against an innocent American citizen, and you're going to sit there and tap dance in my face. And then the entity, remember, engages in criminal summoning. It even conducts a health check when you make allegations about what they're doing. This is the entity that engages in that toward the ordinary target individual that is not armed with evidence to show they're all demons that are stalking. This is terrorism. This is violence while they're levying war. This is how this criminal conduct is going to be addressed under federal law. The same ongoing intensity, violence that you do, the federal law is addressing as you're engaging in war tactics against American citizens. The federal government's going to respond to war. Understand, this is not different from a foreign enemy. The Constitution describes them enemies, foreign and domestic. There's no exception there. There's no conditions there. This is what the entities engage in. And this crippled, gray hair, vagina monitoring brokey comes into the library, having the audacity to stalk me in the path, sits right next to me. So we can keep my vagina under surveillance today. Okay? This is the P.O.C. and I guarantee didn't take a shower. No soap has touched his scalp while he's sitting up engaging in what is gang stalking me. Okay, that's the entity that's engaged in that. This is the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking, and this is the demon possessed that are doing so while they've already been discerned. You've already lost. That's an indicator regarding the kingdom of darkness should already be on alert. But understand the kingdom of darkness, that is the demon possessed. They don't have any sort of knowledge or strategy. They are creatures. They act off of impulse, and this is why they have to be restrained with straitjackets. Because in the face of that which is showing them, this isn't going to go well. Maybe we should stop and turn away. That's what a reasonable person does. That's not what a demon does. This is why martial law is necessary. This is why you're taking companies and wiping them off the face of the map. This is why you're being prosecuted, and your damages are going to exhaust those corrupt companies that are engaging in terrorism and warfare against American citizens with the average impoverished third party. That government that is gang stalked with, the government will take their lives. They're casualties. They're meaningless. And these are imps that just line up all around me stalking, including while you're paid by the venue as an employer, or excuse me, as an employee, and the entity as an employer. That's the corporation itself. That's the entity. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, this is recognizing the rights of the ordinary target individual as I speak to that. I speak to what they are suffering, what they are subject to, and doing so while that is the purpose of what a mentally ill public entity intends to commit. And I'm showing you how mentally unstable that public entity is. It's entirely unstable. This is the P.O.C. and upon exiting the venue today, where cowards keep their head down when they know they're being documented. That's what this demon, he's in his 60s. This is another one that's a vagina monitor that knows that he's being documented. You will see in the images, he's always keeping his head all the way down to the ground. This is that's consciousness of guilt. While you're engaged, remember the evidence is in context with regard to the type of crime it is. This is the entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct while they are monitoring evidence. And the entity that's doing that is also being prosecuted while the entity is stalks via Metrolink train, amplifying that under the fake sun inside of the library, engaging in what is amplified plane activity, while the entity is engaging in what I show you on video, amplifying that inside of the library, impossible audible activity, i.e. these are demons, and engaging in what is stalking by helicopter, which they also do when they are triggered. That is, they're fearful, they are hostile, as I publish evidence on the internet, for example, and you're stalking and monitoring. That is speaking for the necessity for you being discharged and being committed. But for your stalking, an American citizen wouldn't be subject to that terrorism in the first place. They wouldn't even have to document and publish it. And not only is that happening, that motivates you to engage in more acts of terrorism, which you fail to appreciate how that is serving to your oncoming demise because you are mentally ill. This is P.O.C. Already, it is currently where the employees are joining in on relevant positioning, coming into close proximity under the fake sun, which I will capture for you at what is 10:18 a.m. Understand the measure, the weight, the appreciation, the reality of the unlawful threat posed by the federal government is not based on the targeted individual's ability to respectfully or diplomatically deal with the terrorist that is conspiring their murder. That's not how you're measuring the threat, and it is no less of a threat. It is no less violent. It is no less criminal because I am dealing with the demons in their faces. Understand that? This is not just a prosecution, it's advocacy. Okay, amongst demons who scare people that don't know any better. It is equally criminal. You're going to prison, regardless of my being respectful to you, regardless of my conversing with you, regardless of me tolerating you by necessity. And this is also why you're going to prison, because I have to tolerate this in order to get to the opposite side of the law. You're going to prison. You are so going to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:19 a.m. This is criminal summoning under the fake sun. Carissa, Brianna, the stalker that's tap dancing with the military, that's stalking by plane, stalking in the path. The entity is engaging in this while the fake sun is over the venue, and doing so while they are indeed monitoring. I want to see if, okay. This is P.O.C. This is the impunity and the unlawful threat by the entity. Sitting around, quaint, staring at books and phones. The fake sun is over, and the entity is engaging what is sounding sirens, and this is what they're doing under the fake sun from morning until evening. The mentally ill of the San Bernardino County Fire, the mentally ill of American Medical Response, the mentally ill of the Upland Police Department, the mentally ill of the U.S. military. As you're looking at all of the iterations of the same P.O.C. and psychopaths who are mentally incompetent, staring at things while they are gang stalking you, engaging in what is violence. On behalf of the employees who are under the law going to prison. Okay, the people of the state are engaging that together, and I'm stating the names of the employees. Joy is here. You'll see her in the images. Demons are coming in, standing at the top of the staircase, just maintaining criminal presence in the path. Carissa and Brianna are at the reference desk, the same reference desk where the fake sun is over me at 5 p.m. The entities engaging what is stalking by sitting at the desktop computers, and these are demons that are engaging in criminal summoning together. This is the entity that is manifesting fear. Okay, so what the entity is originally engaging in with regard to monitoring you, now the demon possessed are engaging at every time I strike fear in them. They're scared to death about what it is that I know, what I expose about them, the way in which I'm able to do so. And there is no fear for some inferior demonic spirit that scares Satan, that you're not fearful of him. But this is spiritual law, that which Christ already conquered on the grave. The entities engaging in criminal summoning and stalking by helicopters because they're fearful. All right, I'm giving you that rationale. It doesn't matter. Under the law, you're going to prison. You are a psychopath and a sex offender engaging in acts of war because you are fearful of the one that you thought you were going to successfully murder and steal from. You're going into a mental institution. And those that are going into a mental institution are currently identifying as officials and employees for the city of Upland, for the police department, for the fire department, for venues such as the city hall and the library. They are gang stalking as a population while they are engaged in targeting on the roads and the highways. And this is also why those demons who are exhibiting severe mental instability by literally sounding those sirens that are serving a criminal and corrupt purpose that is far from what they represent on the surface. The only emergency is that they're scared to death while I'm prosecuting them and telling you all about it and letting you witness it moment by moment. This is the P.O.C. Criminal summoning is a federal offense. It's the act of what is criminal monitoring, where you are stalking. Okay, and the mentally ill are stalking with light, stalking with noise, and stalking in the path, and they do that vicariously through the vagina monitors that are all around me on the inside. They call themselves employees at the venue. They call themselves patrons at the venue. They call themselves those that are just passerbyers, i.e. the roads and the highways. They're all engaging in that pattern of conduct together. And literally what is going on is that these are demons that have engaged in their pattern of conduct now because they're trying to comfort themselves because they're scared to death. And they should be scared to death. They send out a death spirit, death spells, and which is not going to touch me. Literally. While they're engaging in the mentally ill P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that obsessively. Okay, and don't forget about the entity that's engaging in psychopathic behavior, the door slamming, the entity that's engaging in that with regard to every move that I make. The entity is engaging in what is demonic activity while the door is made louder. These are demons, and it's amplification. Amplification is supernatural, and it's occurring while the fake sun sits over the building all day long. All right, all the efforts at what is psychological torture. All right, the entity that's gang stalking is going to be subject to damages and criminal charges. All right, and what I'm showing you at the Upland Public Library, this is a template, because any other place you're going, whether it's at the entity's home, which is a facilitating venue, whether it's at the entity's place of employment, which may happen to be a grocery store, or whether they are Caltrans working on the side of the 10 freeway, it is the same pattern of conduct. It's the same template. It's the same criminal elements of monitoring. Okay, the entity is aiming impossible light activity, which I've already captured on video before. Light is just luminescing out of nowhere on this desktop computer. And so I'm putting my hand, I'm throwing up the peace sign so you can see my 2 fingers on it. I captured that right now at 10:25 a.m. This is where Alyssa and the other Alyssa, Carissa, Brianna, Joy, and Anthony are engaging in gang stalking with the entity that's sounding sirens while I'm subject to sexual assault and battery as an entity engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. That's why impossible light activity is appearing on the inside of this library where the fake sun is over my head, right? However, there is no angle where that light activity is going to manifest, and this is documenting the identical pattern of conduct. Regardless of where the demons are at, they are surrounded by evidence, and the evidence is to have them surrounded by medical professionals and mental institutions, neutralizing the threat that they pose to the American public, exposing them, letting you know that the Nephilim are here, and that they are engaging in and employing what was supposed to be a covert beast system. The beast system is already here, and the entity is engaging in what is terrorism. While they're doing so, while the Constitution is still enacted, while the Constitution is still enforceable, the entity is being federally prosecuted, but it is exposing what Satan is engaging in, and Satan is doing so through the state of California. This is P.O.C. I just want to be clear, this impossible light activity is this is prima facie. You're going to prison because you're not just stalking as an employee. You're stalking systematically, and I'm speaking to what are trigger words under the law. You're going to prison by virtue of this impossible light activity. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:26 a.m. The entity repeating criminal summoning, which is mentally ill, psychopathic behavior. It is analogous to the helicopter flying in circles over and over and over and over. This is what the demons are doing while they are also not only fearful, but the entity is this is demons that are adults in the physical, but you have the maturity of 7-year-olds. So that is operating through those that are working for a police department, and you expose and embarrass the demon possessed. These are spirits that are possessing people. So that's why I'm speaking in those terms, because that's literally what they're emotionally going through. They are embarrassed when they should be fearful because you're going to prison. This isn't about some being on Apollo and Showtime at the Apollo and you hit a false key. You're singing off key and you're embarrassed. No, you're being prosecuted for terrorism. This isn't a matter of being embarrassed, but it is for them because these are demon-possessed people. So the demons have literally turned off. They don't have a sane mind. And they operate as immature children and will repeat the federal offense over and over and over again while they are embarrassed for criminal activity that they thought and what do demons know? I've shown you what they don't know anything. They are inferior beings. Those that are in Christ, those who have the mind of Christ, those who are given what are spiritual gifts from the Lord God himself, they are inferior. Okay? And this is an entity that is embarrassed by that. A legion of demons are embarrassed by it. So the entity engages in criminal summoning all day long. And so in the physical, you know you're going to prison, and that's not a fire department, police department. You're out of a job. You're done with that career. And that's literally being defunded. And you're going out sad as a sex offender. A vagina monitor is how I like to term it. This is the P.O.C. It's criminal summoning. 10:28 a.m. in impossible light. This is criminal summoning. This is the location where the fake sun is at when I'm arriving at 7 in the morning, and I'm capturing video reminding you about Anthony Rodriguez and Hadel Shiapani that are under the same light source, which is impossible, in Ontario at Stater Brothers. This is the environment where the entity is keeping the fake sun and doing so at 12:37 p.m. This is the opposite side of the entrance where I'm showing you the fake sun is over me this morning, where the entity was engaged in what is psychopathic pacing, stalking with military planes, and doing so more so having that psychotic break every time the demons get nervous and fearful as I document them and I publish the evidence on the internet. The entity sounding sirens is Alyssa's engagement in criminal monitoring. It's called criminal summoning, where she is gang stalking. She's literally sitting covered, coated in the evidence which is a supernatural phenomenon, in which case silence and the outward appearance of indifference, which is psychopathic and malicious, is no defense for her. It is incriminating, and it's also relevant to what is mental illness. The entity is engaging in what is psychotic behavior while you hear the sirens restart, and they're monitoring. This is exactly what they do what they were doing, while the credit application that this entity is keeping under criminal surveillance is a matter of public information amongst the terrorists of Marcelo Blanco that's monitoring my and violating my privacy with regard to my private information on my device, where Marcelo Blanco has no warrant, no probable cause by that department to engage in surveillance, which the Upland Police Department are engaging in, while they're exhibiting mental illness under the fake sun, pacing around over and over again and increasing in that mentally ill behavior as I document them, and they keep that evidence under surveillance. This is in concert with what mental illness, as you witness the people of the state sharing in that malicious conduct. This is what the entity is engaging in, while my credit application submitted on the internet that the entity is keeping under criminal surveillance with the military, with the people of the state who are monitoring on communication devices. That's the purpose for this environment, where they are pacing around and engaging in what is violating my privacy by sharing and keeping my device under surveillance, and also viewing my private information, my social security number, any addresses, my information pertaining to any income, my name, my all of that information is what this entity is keeping under surveillance, including while you hear the sirens again. You heard the entity engaging in that pattern of conduct while I am hours earlier, before 10 o'clock when this library opened, in the same environment, which remains until after 5 p.m. as well. This is the entity that's engaging in what is violating that privacy regarding the credit application. This entity that stole my assets, my property, and my identity is engaging in what is federal stalking. P.O.C. This is the entity, and this is wiring to federal prison for engaging in what is that pattern of conduct with the government. That is engaging in what is my information, which is public amongst monitoring demons. And the entity confirming that while they engage in criminal summoning as the mentally deranged violent sex offenders who are engaging in federal stalking with regard to criminal surveillance. This is that P.O.C. It's 9:09 p.m. The Ontario Town Square is monitoring right now. They're having an event, and that's the City of Ontario, which is, again, criminal activity financed by the City of Ontario, Polyon. The entity is gang stalking. You have hundreds of people at the Ontario Town Square right now gang stalking me, while the entity is flying over me by helicopter under the fake moon, and the entity comes close to engage in that pattern of conduct. Wants to be right next to me while gang stalking. P.O.C. It is currently 9:10 p.m. This is impunity, and this is the entity that's engaging in the cruelty, the violence of federal group stalking and monitoring. It's everyday normal conduct for the creatures who are demons. This is P.O.C. Crossing paths, flying over my head again. This is psychopathic pacing. And this is psychopathic pacing. They're all scattering. This is P.O.C. all right next to me. All right, that's a threat. So you know the mental illness, and it is creeping right behind me. This is the entity that's engaging what is stealing my property, running and attacking me with a sharp object in their hand, engaging what is stalking in the middle of the night, engaging in what is waging false allegations while you are obsessively stalking in this manner, and stalking in planes and helicopters. These are the demons. And the entity that practices this satanic psychopathic behavior is going to be subject to martial law, and it includes their children. Look at them gang stalking. This is the P.O.C. Monitoring with the government. And further into murder, children engaging in that. Children who are stalking and children who are sex offenders. Gang stalking. P.O.C. It is currently 9:12 p.m. Psychopathic pacing, targeting me with helicopter, crossing path with minors, engaging in that pattern of conduct. And this is what is losing custody of kids. And this is also why when you come across the border and give birth to them, you're not staying in this country. You're still getting deported. P.O.C. (10:07 p.m.) Still stalking. This is mental illness that the people of the state that I document suffer from. They share in it. And this is the entity that's going to be subject to the pattern of conduct. This is stalking with that entity that is mentally ill, stalking together. P.O.C. They're inside of John Stewart Company apartments. John Stewart Company, you're being federally prosecuted for criminal surveillance that you are facilitating and participating in. The people of the state are pacing in the engineered environment, and there is no legal right to do so under the Constitution. This is public corruption for which the population, the public entity itself, is being prosecuted. That includes when you see and hear a fire department that is gang stalking. See and hear the ambulance operators, the EMTs, it's criminal activity. They're gang stalking. And the stalkers themselves that have shown to be engaging in stalking, any police department in the same exact environment, in the same exact pattern of conduct, mental illness and criminal activity, it's gang stalking, okay, that are present in the same environment. And they do so, gang stalk you under the guise of having authority as a fire department, a police department, and ambulance services. And all of that, the entity has shown itself to be engaging in surveillance as the allegations express. The entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct. They're not even acting like anything other than stalkers that are highly perturbed because they have been found out and exposed. This is P.O.C. It is 10:09 p.m. where the mentally ill continuously provide evidence against themselves for civil and criminal court. This is P.O.C. Alright, stalking by helicopter, crossing path again for the fourth time. This is the fake one right here. This is the crime scene. This is just ongoing psychopathic pacing. This is a threat to an American citizen while the government is blatantly stalking with the people of the state, moreover, and doing so while that government is also monitoring the evidence. That is, the stalker, that is the government, is aware that their criminal activity and acts of terrorism are being maintained as a record, which is not anything other than motivation for the entities. I want to show you what the entity's been doing. It is currently 10:33 p.m. This is what the entity's engaging in on an ongoing basis while the people of the state are monitoring the evidence as I'm publishing it online. That's what this is. But crossing path, gang stalking with the entity, it's criminal. This is criminal presence. They're in the engineered environment. This is how the entity is maintaining surveillance. None of this is free speech or protected, and it's in furtherance of criminal activity, conspiracy to murder. The entity is stalking at 10:07 p.m. by helicopter flying over the top of my head. The entity stalking at 10:11 p.m. The entity flying over the top of my head. The entity stalking by helicopter at 9:09 p.m. flying over the top of my head. This is the P.O.C., the entity doing so with the people of the state. This is the entity doing so, I want to be clear, it's August 22nd, 2026, and this is relevant to the record. The military that's going to be federally prosecuted, the law enforcement agencies that are going to be federally prosecuted, the people of the state that are being federally prosecuted, the corporations that are being federally prosecuted, the people of the state that have engaged in the pattern of conduct. While the entities engage in what is gang stalking to date, even right now as I speak, this is relevant to the ways in which they shall be prosecuted under the law. Okay, this is the P.O.C., and this is what an entity is engaged in still with the criminal purpose to commit murder. That's why the entity is to the current moment in time stalking. Saris Regis Group is monitoring. They're engaging in what is their nightly stalking in the path. A demon is using a vehicle to maintain criminal presence on the side of the venue, which is in relevant position to where I'm at, and where the crime scene is showing you are targeting in the path you're gang stalking with the government that is stalking by helicopter. Saris Regis Group is stalking while demons maintain peculiarized light. This is what is happening moments ago, and then the entities engage in what is ongoing hours of stalking. The government, the heliport, the department that's maintaining this ongoing criminal activity with a helicopter, having nothing else to do, just free range stalking an American citizen by helicopter. The entity is maintaining record of that, and those that are engaged in that, involved in it, you're all going to prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It is currently 10:36 p.m. All right, this is light activity while Mule Car Smokehouse is stalking. That's literally a demon that's monitoring. Walks out, walks back in. does so as I press record. This is impulsive light, and it's impulsive light activity that is occurring in the specific environment. It is the specific environment because it is impulsive light activity. It's not light that's naturally occurring. It's not light that's the product of even strobe lights. This little ghetto broke establishment does not have serious lights, but nonetheless, I just want to be clear, this isn't all engineered light. So when you're looking at gang stalking by your local nightclub in the specific environment, where they are equally engaged in as creatures monitoring, okay? The demon possessed are gang stalking, and under the guise of having what is like a club area, this is impossible light activity while it's occurring on the ground. This is again elevated to the second floor, and this is the form that you see, the fake sun and then the engineer light all over the place. The light activity on the inside, and you can see it's two little raggedy little small, that is not creating what is the massive light activity that you just saw. And then moreover, it's happening over here. It's spread all about. This is light activity. These are demons, and this is demonic activity. This is another reason why you should not be gathering with them. They are demons, and they engage in massive acts of terrorism. And it also happens when demons, that you are ignorant that they're demons gather together, going to concerts, going to sports, games, going to like large amphitheaters where a lot of the demons are gathered together. This is why you shouldn't be gathering with them. This demonic activity is an indication regarding why you should not gather with them. It is unsafe, okay? These are demons, and this is mental illness as it's exhibited in the environment, and it's absolutely impossible while they are actually monitoring. The purpose is not to enjoy the concert, to enjoy the music. It's satanic. The purpose is not to enjoy the game. They're monitoring. They gather together, they pay money, they have artists, they have sports, they have all these things, and all they're monitoring. So this is understanding and analyzing the information that you are being given while I am prosecuting a case. And the light activity that is inside of Mule Car Smokehouse, where the government flies over Mule Car Smokehouse, where the entity is keeping the fake moon and the fake sun over Mule Car Smokehouse, where the entity is stalking me by helicopter at Mule Car Smokehouse, where the Ontario police are captured in images. This is what I captured before I caught this video. Ontario police are in relevant position. So that's being around the perimeter, stalking me. Okay, doing so what is inconspicuously. To come and, for example, stop in the middle of the street and just turn on the police lights on the vehicle, that's called conspicuous surveillance. And there's a federal prosecution for that as well. The entity is in the path. This is my shadow appearing here. Impossible light activity. These are indeed the sex offenders. This is the entity that's engaged in that. Sex offenders are being prosecuted as those conspiring murder, and this is the entity that's doing so while the government is stalking in helicopter, like I captured in 4 videos. These are the demon possessed that are gang stalking on behalf of that entity that is mentally ill and sexually perverted, sexually obsessed, engaging in the exposed criminal conspiracy to commit murder, where they are providing what is the guise, okay? Demons that are monitoring you and they want to appear normal, where you're ignorant that they're not even humans. They want to appear like humans like you. They're not. They want to appear like they're under the sun, minding their business, going about their day. It's not, and they're not. This is the entity stalking with light, with what is supposed to appear as headlights. They're not. The entities engaged in what is gang stalking, using what is a social scene, and the lighting in the club is the guise for what is the light activity that's on the ground, sweeping across the sidewalk, outside of the building, sweeping over here in the grass, far from the inside of that club. It's not, it's light activity. It's the same pattern of conduct. This is the P.O.C. The entity is being federally prosecuted. Mule Car Smokehouse is engaged in that pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder. That's a prosecution of the corporate entity. Mule Car Smokehouse is already prosecuted by virtue of my 4 videos of the entity stalking by helicopter. And the ability for me to prosecute and document Mule Car Smokehouse engaging in the pattern of conduct is ongoing corroborating evidence regarding what the government's already doing conspicuously. This is criminal presence in the path. They're being prosecuted for public corruption. Communication device in hand, monitoring, the impossible light on the ground, they're walking in it. This is the mentally ill entity. They can't secretly or covertly gang stalk you. And they certainly cannot while they're walking in the impossible light activity. Not headlights that they're walking in, engineer light, not light from the club. This is demonic activity while they are gang stalking me, okay? This is the P.O.C. I want you to see this lily white woman. That's a sex offender. This is a lesbian. She hurries up and gets out of her car. I don't need her to be in her car. I'm going to document her license plate, and she is being federally prosecuted and committed. She's a sex offender. All right, she's a terrorist, and she's gang stalking with the demons that come around to engage in sexual assault and battery with her. License 76105. These are demons that don't have a meeting, anticipating which direction I go. These are stalkers. Business, audio push, entertainment. I'm going to prosecute this little ghetto business, gang stalking, vagina. This is a fat Latino male gangster. I'm going to prosecute this business. And I'm going to prosecute him. That's P.O.C. And he is gang stalking with a lesbian, where her headlights on this vehicle are not reaching all the way where she's walking. She's a sex offender. She's monitoring. She knows exactly who I am. All right. And the lesbian hops out of the vehicle as I come to document her. No defendant that comes and maintains what is light activity, molestation. License 8PVD129. These are the co-conspirators of murder. This is where and why the government is stalking in helicopters, as I captured in 4 videos. And they are here gang stalking with the Mule Car Smokehouse, all the employees subject to federal prison. The people of the state that I document, you're subject to federal prison while I document you personally. This is the entity that's subject to being committed while you are engaging in that pattern of conduct, sitting in a field, stalking a woman in the middle of the night, just sitting in your vehicle, aiming light at her, molesting her with that which is not even naturally occurring, hopping out of the vehicle as a predator, stalking, anticipating being identified when you're conspiring, stalking a woman and conspiring her death by doing so. This is absurdly mentally ill behavior, and it's associated with the corporation Mule Car Smokehouse as well. All right, this is the gang stalking apartment buildings. They're all being prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. and the entities engaging in that together. It's not a coincidence. As I walk up, this demon that's engaging in what is walking out, getting out of her vehicle, this is gang violence. So you have a gang member that's maintaining that light activity. That's what that was. This is gang violence. This is gang violence that they do concerning my vagina as well. This is very much indeed a lesbian. This white fat woman, license 8 Paul Victor David 129. License 6 Zebra Apple Frank 299. This is what Ontario Police Department, they're captured in images engaging in criminal summoning, doing so at what is between E as in Edward and F as in Frank at Euclid Avenue, stalking with light activity while the demon possessed are here, maintaining light activity at the Ontario Town Square. This is again prosecuting a gang stalking government. The Ontario Town Square is speaking to property that is associated with the local municipality that's engaging in providing a crime scene for criminal activity, where that government is engaging in it in concert with the people of the state. All right, where you are being terrorized by the government is occurring where the government is on the grounds sharing in that pattern of conduct, where the government is providing funding for it to occur on those grounds. The entity is engaging in that, and it's occurring under the fake moon. This is the P.O.C. Ready? This is the overweight lesbian. This is a white woman stalking a black woman. This is a lesbian obsessing over another woman. She's stalking me in the middle of the night. Her mental illness is on the outside of her person. It's not closeted, and her criminal activity is also obvious as well. This is an entity that's going to be subject to being committed in mental institutions for this criminal activity. And I'm prosecuting her while her co-defendant, the ongoing gang membership is shared by what is, as she moves out of her vehicle and another demon comes and continues that molestation. Sex offenders stalking in the middle of the night, being committed. This is the P.O.C. License plate ROKB5, stalking. This is all state action. This is why the government's being defunded. This is why you are losing your position in office. This is why you are being prosecuted and removed as terrorists. This is why you're not getting a compensation package. This is why it will be a matter of public information, the bases upon which you are being removed and being prosecuted. There is no privacy. You're not getting the convenience of retiring and maintaining some sort of narrative that is not mentioning what is the fact of the pattern of conduct. This is evidence which is necessitating wide dissemination of the information pertaining to the criminal activity of a government that's gang stalking in this mentally ill manner with the people of the state. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. I just want to be clear. The entity is maintaining this ridiculous and impossible light activity, which is under the guise of maintaining a club. This is impossible light activity. It's demonic. And these are demons. Demons that are socializing. Demons that you should not be gathering with. It is not encouraged that you gather with them. Okay, the dead are out here killing each other. All right, and this is the entity. This is speaking to the entity that is monitoring everyone, the entity that is suicidal, the entity that's engaged in psychotic behavior like stalking and monitoring under a fake sun, and committing acts of suicide by crashing planes and helicopters in order to target one person, and they kill everybody aboard. This is the entity of demons that you should not be gathering with. They sacrifice themselves and each other every day. Okay, this is what is relevant. This is what you are learning when I'm exposing what is gang stalking amongst the demon possessed who do not have a purpose. People that are purposeless and they gather together to engage in the wicked conduct that they engage in, they do so threatening your life, especially when you're ignorant about it. This is the P.O.C. This is the Ontario Town Square where gang stalking is being documented. And Caucasian lesbians are out here molesting my body, lusting after me, and stalking me, and then trying to run away while their co-defendants maintain that sexual assault and battery via engineered light, gang stalking me, okay? And this is the entity that would like to maintain a straight face as though that makes it look like it's not happening. This engineered light is what is proof that it's happening. It's not her headlights reaching over here, and those are certainly not lights from the club that are also reaching all the way over here. This is the entity's mental illness, as you can see it in the environment. You can see it in the environment that they're mentally ill. Mule Car Smokehouses, they can't even season food. They're not going to last through a prosecution. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:41 p.m.